My name is Margaret Holloway, and for 37 years, I thought I knew my husband. Richard was a literature professor, methodical, private, devoted to his work. Our home in suburban Connecticut was filled with books, quiet mornings, and the comfortable rhythm of a long marriage. Richard's study was his sanctuary. He kept it locked, the window always covered with heavy drapes. "I need complete focus," he'd explain gently, kissing my forehead. "No distractions when I'm working on my research." I never questioned it. That was the foundation of our marriage trust. We had raised 2 children together. Sarah was a teacher in Boston now, and Michael worked as an architect in Seattle. Richard and I had settled into our golden years peacefully. He was 64, I was 62. We took walks in the evening, shared crossword puzzles over breakfast, and talked about traveling once he retired. Then came that Tuesday morning in October. I found Richard collapsed in the garden, his hand still holding the watering can. The hydrangeas he loved so much surrounded him like mourners. The paramedics said it was a massive heart attack. Sudden, painless, they assured me. He was gone before he hit the ground. The funeral was beautiful. Colleagues spoke of his brilliance, his kindness to students. Our children held my hands. Friends brought casseroles. Life moved forward in that strange, numb way it does after loss. A week later, I stood outside his study door. The key was in his desk drawer, labeled simply, "Study." My hand trembled as I turned it. The lock clicked open. I pushed the door. Slowly. The room was exactly as I'd imagined, bookshelves from floor to ceiling, his leather chair, papers organized in neat stacks. But on his desk, centered precisely, was a cream-colored envelope with my name written in his careful handwriting. "My dearest Margaret," the letter began. I sat in his chair and read, "If you're reading this, I am gone, and I must finally tell you the truth. For 23 years, I have been living 2 lives. In this study, behind these locked doors and covered windows, I have been someone else." My hands shook. The words blurred. "Her name is Patricia Winters. We met when I was teaching a summer course in Maine. She was auditing my class, a widow, lonely, kind. It began innocently, or so I told myself. Coffee after lectures, long conversations about books, then something more. I couldn't breathe. I bought her a small cottage in Maine. I've spent every summer at academic conferences with her. I've lived in this study, writing her letters, planning our time together, building a life separate from ours. She knows about you. She accepted being second. But Margaret, understand this, I loved you both. Differently, perhaps impossibly, but truly." The letter went on. Bank accounts I didn't know existed. A will that divided everything 3 ways: me, Patricia, our children. Detailed instructions for me to contact her. "I was a coward," he wrote. "I couldn't choose. I couldn't hurt either of you. So I hurt you both by hiding. I'm sorry, my dear Margaret. I'm so deeply sorry. Patricia deserves to know. I've passed. Please, if you can find it in your heart, tell her. She has no one else." The letter ended simply, "You were the foundation of my life. She was my escape. Both were real. Both mattered. Forgive me if you can." Richard, I sat in that study for hours. Anger came first, hot and bitter. Then betrayal, sharp as broken glass. How dare he? How dare he build a secret world while I made him dinner, washed his clothes, believed every word. But slowly, as the autumn sun moved across the room, something else emerged. Curiosity. I found everything. A metal box contained letters from Patricia, hundreds of them, spanning 2 decades. Photographs of them together, her smiling face beside his. They looked happy, genuinely, peacefully happy. There were receipts, travel itineraries, gifts he'd bought her. A whole other existence, meticulously documented. I called Sarah and Michael. They deserved to know. Sarah cried. Michael was furious, wanted to destroy everything, erase Patricia from the narrative. "No," I said quietly. "We're going to do what he asked." 2 weeks later, I drove to Maine. The cottage was small, perched near the coast, surrounded by pine trees. Smoke rose from the chimney. I knocked. Patricia Winters opened the door. She was about my age, with kind eyes and silver hair pulled back. Simply, when she saw me, her face went pale. "You're Margaret," she whispered. "I am. May I come in?" We sat at her kitchen table, drinking tea neither of us touched. I gave her the letter Richard had written for her. Yes, there was one for her too. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said finally, tears streaming down her face. "I fell in love with him. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop. I accepted whatever pieces of his life he could give me." "Did you know he died?" I asked. "No. He usually called every Sunday." "When he didn't, I thought maybe you'd found out that he'd finally chosen." "He didn't choose. He died without choosing." We sat in silence. The ocean wind rattled the windows. "I don't want his money," Patricia said suddenly. "I don't want anything that should be yours and your children's." "He wanted you to have it," I replied. He was specific. "I don't deserve forgiveness." I looked at this woman, the stranger who'd shared my husband's heart, and I saw something I didn't expect. Pain, loneliness, a life half lived, waiting for scattered weeks with a man who belonged elsewhere. I said slowly, "We were both betrayed. Maybe we were both loved. I don't know if those things can exist together, but apparently they did." Patricia wept openly then. I reached across the table and held her hand. Over the next months, something unexpected happened. Patricia and I began to talk. Long phone calls at first, then occasional visits. We pieced together the man we'd both loved, trying to understand how he'd managed to be two different people. She told me about their summers, quiet mornings reading on the porch, walks along the beach, conversations about literature and life. He'd been relaxed with her, she said, unburdened. I told her about our life raising children, family Christmases, the steady comfort of decades together. He'd been responsible with me, devoted, if distant sometimes. He was whole with neither of us, Patricia said once. We each had half. Sarah struggled with it. Michael refused to acknowledge Patricia existed. But gradually, we all found our way forward. Richard's betrayal didn't erase 37 years of marriage. His love for Patricia didn't negate the family we'd built. Life, I learned, holds contradictions we'd rather not face. A year after Richard's death, Patricia and I scattered his ashes together at the cottage, half there, half in our Connecticut garden. It seemed right, somehow. He'd split himself in life. We'd honor that in death. "Did you ever really forgive him?" Patricia asked me once. I considered this carefully. I don't know if forgiveness is the right word. I understand him better now. He was human, flawed, selfish, loving, weak. We all are in different ways. And me? Can you forgive me? I looked at this woman who'd become, improbably, something like a friend. We were both casualties of his inability to be honest. Maybe we both survived. The study remains locked now. I've left it exactly as Richard had it, his two lives documented, preserved, understood. Sometimes I sit in there, reading Patricia's letters to him, seeing my husband through her eyes. It doesn't hurt as much anymore. Life has taught me this. People are complex. Love is complicated. Truth matters, but so does compassion. Richard betrayed us both, yes, but he also loved us both in his limited, human way. We're all just trying to find connection in this brief, confusing life. And sometimes, the people we think we know best are the ones we never really knew at all. The window in Richard's study stays covered. Some secrets, once revealed, don't need more light. They just need to be acknowledged, accepted, and finally, gently, forgiven.